And welcome YouTube to my first console video, and this is going to be my top 10 Grand Theft Auto 5 cars. So without further ado, let's get into it. Coming in at number 10 is the Z-Type. You can purchase this from Legendary Motorsports for $950,000, so it's a very expensive car. It's actually the second most expensive car on the game. Now, the reason this comes into my top 10 is because it's a really slick, smart car. I love driving it, and to be honest, I just feel like awesome when I'm driving it. It's surprisingly fast because it's a classical sports car. If you're willing to pay $950,000 for this, so you're gonna have to save up a lot of money, then by all means do get this car. You'll just love looking at it in your garage because it's just one of those cars that you're proud to own because it's just a very smart and slick car. So at number 9 is actually surprisingly the Adder. For a lot of people this is either number 1 or 2, and for me it doesn't get that high at all, only because a lot of people do have it. I feel like this is a bit of an overrated car. Don't get me wrong, it's really smart and it's amazingly fast, but for the price of it, honestly, I don't think it's worth $1 million because it is the most expensive car in the game. But it still gets in my number 10 because it is a good car nevertheless. It's really fast and I do drive this a lot, but it's not in the top 5 or number 1 or number 2 because, I don't know, it doesn't give me that sort of feel like it does for other people. At number 8 is the Albany Roosevelt, which you can buy for $750,000. You can't actually buy this anymore, which is a shame for a lot of people because at the time when it came out, a lot of people couldn't afford it and they really wanted it, and then like maybe they could afford it now but they can't get it. There is a glitch where you can dupe it in from solo, so you can still get it, I suppose. But this is a really good car because it's the only car I have in my garage which is above 2-seater, and I needed a multiple-seater car for like if I wanted to drive around with my crew, or like I need to pick people up, or for when heists come out in the next update, which will come out in about a week's time. I can't wait for that, and it's a really smart car as well. It's not that fast and the handle isn't too great, but it is a 6-seater and it's really smart and I just feel awesome driving it. And that's why it gets number 8. So for number 7 is the Infernus. Now the reason I put this in is because it's actually quite a fast car. This was in Grand Theft Auto 4 and I did enjoy driving it. When you fully upgrade it, it is actually one of the fastest cars on the game. And as you can see, I've got my GT wing on there, and I think it looks really smart. And it is the only car on Grand Theft Auto that when you open, the doors open upwards and not outwards. Which I'll just see as I demonstrate this here. They open upwards and not outwards. And I just think that's really smart, and they should have done that with some more cars. The exhaust looks cool, and I don't know, I haven't used this car very much, but I still really do like it, and it's cost $440,000, so it's not as expensive as some of the other cars that I have shown. Number 6 goes to the Turismo. Now this used to be like in my top 3, but as I've started to use other cars, I've started to enjoy them more. But this is still a very smart car, which came out in the business DLC update. It only costs $500,000, and when I say only, that is quite a lot for people who don't have that much money. But it's a very fast car and I do like it. It's amazingly smart, and I'm glad this came out in the update. Like I said, it was higher on my list. I would have put this about number 3 about a month ago, but then I started to buy other cars, look at other cars, and I just realised that as smart and as good handling as this car is, there's other cars that I just prefer to drive. So number 5 is the Entity XF, probably the fastest car on the game. It is quite expensive at $795,000, but like I said, it is the fastest car in the game. So if you're going to have a supercar race, you'll tend to see that 8 out of 10 people choose the Entity because it is the fastest. As you see, I'm driving it here. I do like it. I think it is quite smart. It's not the smartest car in the game, but like I'm saying, this top 10 list isn't judged off just how it looks. It's judged off its speed, its handling, and its looks as well. But it's a nice car. I tend to drive this when I need to get somewhere really quick, as like I said, it is the fastest car on the game. And let's get in to number 4, which is the Vaca. Now I've started to get used to this car. At first I didn't buy it and everyone was saying it's just as good as the Entity. And I was like, well, it's not as fast, which it isn't, but it's a very fast car. And in my opinion, it's the best car for value. It's worth about the same as an Entity, in my opinion. I think it's smarter, but it only costs $240,000. And if you're gonna get a supercar, I highly recommend this is the first one you get, as you'll be driving like you've just bought an Adder, because it's just that good and it's best for value. So, like I said, highly recommend you get this car. So, number 3 goes to the Jester. Now, this was the last car from the business update I did buy, because on the Legendary Motorsports menu, I didn't think it looked that good. And I did buy the Alpha, and I preferred the Alpha, but then I got the Jester just to look at it, and I realised how smart and fast it is. This is the only sports car I have in my garage, and it drives, handles, looks, and speed. The speed of it is like a supercar. It's probably the fastest sports car on the game, in my opinion. It's the smartest. It looks like an Audi R8. Obviously, I've amazingly pimped it out for my Jester, but honestly, this is such a brilliant car, and I was really glad I bought it. And it is quite cheap as well. And at number 2 is probably, in my opinion, the smartest looking car on the game. It's the Monroe, which you can buy for $490,000 on the Legendary Motorsports website. I absolutely love this vehicle. This car is probably, I drive it just when I want to just drive on GTA, because you sometimes get those moods where you want to just go on GTA, you don't want to do missions, you don't want to race, you just want to drive through the areas of what Los Santos has to offer, and this is the car that I'd most likely choose. It's fast, it's probably the fastest classical sports car, it's the best handling, it's just so smart, and honestly, I think this car is such a good car, and it's quite expensive, but I don't know. In my opinion, it's just a muscle sports classic, and I'm not one for sports classics, I'll be honest, but this car is just amazingly good. And finally, coming in at number 1 is my all-time favourite car in Grand Theft Auto 5. It's the Cheetah for $650,000 off the Legendary Motorsports website. This car is my absolute favourite. The handling is superb. The look of it is just amazing. The speed, don't get me wrong, it's not the fastest supercar on the website. For some reason, Rockstar decided to really depower this car for some reason, because in real life this would be probably the fastest car. But I just love it so much. I remember when I first bought it, it was this is when I barely had any money, and I saved up for ages. And I finally bought it, and I just absolutely loved it. I've never got rid of it. Normally in my cars, I have sold a lot. This has stayed in my garage for a long time, and it will for a longer period of time. As you see, I'm just going to drive off here. Obviously not that good, because I'm not exactly the best driver ever, because I am going to be ending the video with this amazing car. The only downside to it is, like I said, they did depower it for the speed. It's not the fastest, shamefully. And its worst enemy are stairs. It cannot get upstairs for the life of it. But like I said, this has been my top 10 GTA 5 cars. If you like this, please subscribe. This has been my first console video, so I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe, like, and leave a comment of what your top 10 favourite cars are. And until next time, thank you for watching, and goodbye.